Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 9.2. The chapter which we are related with is labor wages. It's so important, so skillful. It will have a complete hold upon this chapter. We will be able to solve several HR problems related to manufacturing concern. In manufacturing concern, why I'm using this word because management accounting and cost accounting is directly associated with manufacturing concern, where workers come and make several number of units, or workers come and work for several hours and we need to pay them wages. Now here heading is very important: differential piece rate system. First, piece rate system, there are two main ways to pay the wages. First is time rate method, where what we do, we use how many hours a worker worked and we will pay them according to per hour wage rate. This is the simple thing. If some worker had worked for 8 hours and per hour is 100, we will pay them $100. So time rate method is associated with hours worked and per hour wage rate. Example, what I was saying, if a worker had worked for 10 hours following this, and we have promised to pay them 100 rupees per hour, $100 per hour or 100 rupees per hour. In this way, 10 multiplied by 100, he will be getting $1,000 or rupees according to time rate method. And second method which we have used is piece rate system, under which what we will do, we will not be following how many hours he have worked. We will follow how many pieces he have made. Say he have made 1000 pieces and the rate which we have decided is 10. So according to piece rate system, 1000 multiplied by 10, he will be receiving $10,000. So just example, don't consider that hourly rate is less or piecework rate is more. This was just an example. These are two very simple and very straight ways to pay the wages. But what is this differential? A new word has been introduced, differential rate system, under which what will happen if some worker have worked well or more than the standard which was set. Let's say the standard production which was set is 1000 and he had worked more than 1000. What I have said, standard output, if it is mentioned that 1000 number of units should be manufactured. A worker had manufactured more than 1000, so we should appreciate him. If a worker had produced less than 1000, we should discourage him. This is called differential piece rate system. A worker who had produced number of units more than standard, we should appreciate financially. If a worker had produced less number of units than standard, we should discourage him financially. And this is called differential piece rate system. And how we are differentiating? If worker had produced less number of unit of standard, we will give him only 90% of his wages and 10% would be deducted. If a person had produced number of units more than that of standard, we will appreciate financially and will give 110% of standard wage. That means 10 extra would be paid to the person who had made more number of units than standard, and 10% would be deducted for the worker who had produced units less than that of standard. This is called differential rate system. And since we are related with piecework rate system, to kindly note it down, we will be following this: how many number of pieces some worker had produced and per piece rate. Now next is standard output is 60 units per hour. That means in 1 hour a worker is bound to make 60 units. Wage is, in 1 hour he can get 30 rupees. 9 hour a worker had worked and there are A, B, C, three workers have worked and units are presenting over here. Before calculation of wages of worker A, B and C, we will be as usual putting some standards. We have been given per hour wage is given, and in similarly per hour units are also given in the question. Go back. Standard output is 60 per unit, 60 units per hour. So we have 60 units per hour. Heading, you can see that 60 units per hour is mentioned in the question. And second is wage rate is 30 per hour. In per hour, how much amount has been received? That would be 30. So now next step what we can do is look over here. For 1 hour 60 units should be manufactured. For 1 hour they would be paid 30 rupees, and now we want to know if 1 unit have been made, how much amount would be paid. As you know, if 60 units are made, 30 rupees would be paid. Per hour is common for both, so units and wage. If 60 units are manufactured, 30 rupees would be paid. And now we want to know if 1 unit is manufactured, that means per piece, if per single piece, if 1 piece is manufactured, how much amount would be paid. We will not use our brain, we will use our principle of simple mathematics, third, fourth class standard. We will cross multiply. 60 would be multiplied by x, so you will get 60x is equal to, and 30 would be multiplied with 1, so we will get 30. Next step, 60 is being multiplied with x. We want to take it to the opposite side. So when you will take it to the opposite side, sign would be changed and it would be divided. 30 was already present, and you want to take this 60 to the opposite side. Here it is multiplied, and to the opposite side it would be divided, and now you will get 30 divided by 6. Amount we can calculate, 30 divided by 60, so we have 0.5. But we have calculated amount per piece, or it is also called, we have calculated amount per piece, or you can say it is per piece rate or per piece rate. Now if one standard has been maintained, let's see what other standard can also be maintained. Please note it down. We have calculated per piece rate, and it would be very essential and important role for the solution at next step. So go back to the question, and there is another thing which is said 9 hours a day, 9 hours are given to the workers to work. It means we need to know how many pieces should be made in 9 hours. Again, we will use the same pattern. Two things we will discuss: hours and pieces. We have been said that 60 units are made in 1 hour. So in 1 hour, 60 units are made. But in question it has been said workers have worked for 9 hours. Now let me know how many units would be made in 9 hours. Without calculation we can have the answer. In 1 hour 60 pieces are made, then in 9 hours how many pieces would be made? So again we will not use our brain, we will just cross multiply. X would be multiplied by 1, so we will get only x, and then 60 would be multiplied by 9, 60 would be multiplied by 9, and next we can get the answer 60 multiplied by 9, 540 would be the answer. What we have calculated it. Look over here. In 1 hour 60 pieces are made. In 9 hour how many pieces? So it means we have got the answer pieces per 9 hours shift. 9 hours shift. So this way we have calculated another standard where we come to know that in 9 hours every worker should made 540. This is your standard production. It is also called standard production for one day. After which, now we will go back to the question and we'll see what is our requirement and how these standards would be used to calculate wages of 3 workers. It has been mentioned, but kindly keep it in mind, these two standards are very important. Point 0.5 amount or rupees per piece would be paid. 540 pieces per 9-hour shift should be made. It is standard production. Here we will demonstrate that how many workers are working in the factory. There are three: A, B, and C. Let's see if you can remember that: A worker, B worker, and C worker. Next is we will see how many units they have produced. Units produced. A worker has produced 520 units and B worker had produced 540 units. C worker had produced 560. Alright, in this way we now can decide which worker was efficient and which worker was not efficient, because we have set the standard 540. Worker A had produced 520, not according to standard. B worker 540, yes, according to standard. C worker 560, even better than standard, but least standard was 540. So two workers B and C had achieved the standard and A worker had not received the had not reached to the standard production. Now go back to the question and you can see if some worker had not achieved the target, 10% would be deducted and only 90% of his wage would be paid. And if workers have achieved the target or they have produced units more than that of standard, then 10% extra amount would be paid to those workers, 110% in total. Now let's see how much amount would be paid. Per piece rate you have calculated 0.5, you know, amount per piece 0.5. We can mention over here per piece amount is 0.5 for everyone. So what you will do, you can take this and paste above. To calculate our wages, we will follow our formula which was described at start of the lecture as well. You have seen there were two methods and we are following piece rate. Why we are following piece rate? Because it is given in the question. Our requirement is to calculate according to piece rate system. Pieces multiplied by per piece. Here you have calculated your pieces. This is your per piece. That means worker A have produced 520 pieces. And for every piece 0.5 rupees would be paid. How much wages? What you will do, pieces would be multiplied by per piece, which is 0.5. In the similar way, worker B had produced 540 units and per piece 0.5. And then we have worker 3 pieces, he have produced 560 and per piece rate is 0.5. These were your original wages, but we'll have to decide how much wages now they will be paid, because if some worker had worked according to standard, he will get extra amount. If a worker had produced less number of unit, he will amount of wages would be deducted. So amount according to differential rate would be paid. For that you will have to decide whether A worker had achieved the standard. 540 was the standard production which we have earlier calculated. So A worker had not achieved the target, he would be punished. Instead of getting 260, only 90% amount would be paid. So I'm writing, so you will have to see it. Okay, one more thing we can do, instead of writing here, I will let you know the formula. So 260 was the original amount of wage, but he will be receiving only 90% of the amount because he had worked under standard. Now here wage, total wage can be calculated. How? 260, it would be multiplied by 90 and divided by 100. So in this way, worker A will get only 234. Now we will see worker B. He has produced 540 units and 540 was the standard. Yes, he had achieved the standard. So instead of 90%, he would be paid 10% extra. Her or his wage was 270, but he would not be paid 270, rather than extra amount would be paid. It means 110%. Now we will calculate its amount. 270 was the original wage, but 110% means 110 divided by 100. So this way he will receive 297 instead of 270. Appreciation would be given in terms of finance, in terms of wage. Third worker had produced even more than that of standard. 540 was the standard and he had produced 560. That means better than standard. So again he will be given wage 10% extra wages. His normal wages were 280. Let's edit this heading. These are normal wages. Okay, now since he had achieved the target, we will be giving him extra salary, and for that what we will do, 280 was original amount and you need to give him 110%. This is differential we are applying, and now we will calculate 280. It would be multiplied by 110 divided by 100. So in this way 308. Now let's check the answers. Worker A is earning 234. Yes, 234. Now we will see worker B had earned 297. Look over here, the selected area 297. And then we will see worker 3, 308, and 308 is 7. So hopefully you people have understood the methodology. The important thing was to understand the differential, and for that again you have seen there was no performa made, no table was made, no lines were present in our solution. So we have just designed the solution of our question according to our requirement. So this was your solution I'm highlighting, and it was your requirement. I'm requesting you to please focus upon here and revise or repeat this question for more than once, and you need to know what is differential rate system. For that, first element which was needed to elaborate the standard production. Without it, without calculating or without standardizing your production, you would not be able to look at the worker's capability. That means how would you decide a worker had produced more than or less than standard? So first step was to create the standard production, and you will follow very simple way we have chosen. Instead of complicating this standard we used to have in third, fourth standard classes, unitary method is called, with which we have decided that 540 units are standard production for 9 hours, with which it becomes very easy to decide that A worker had produced less, B and C have achieved the target. A worker has given 90%, B and C had been given 110%. So now our question has been ended. All answers are matched without interfering, without editing, without any change. Our question has been completed. So even after spending this much time, if you have any query, you are very open to ask your question regarding 9.2. I will surely be available instantly to answer your queries. For the timing, it has been ended. 9.2 will be meeting for solution of any other question in next lecture. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me as well. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz.